Most people think debt begins with bad math, but Solomon revealed something far more uncomfortable. Debt often begins with a lie we quietly believe about money, freedom, and control. And if that lie is not exposed, no raise, no business success, and no new income will ever fully set a person free. What if the modern debt system was never designed to help you own more, but to slowly own more of you? Thousands of years before banks, credit scores, and payment apps existed, Solomon exposed a financial trap that still controls millions today. And hidden inside one proverb is a wisdom principle powerful enough to help you break that cycle for good. Stay with me until the end, because this teaching may completely change the way you see borrowing, stewardship, and the future God placed in your hands. If you like our content, consider supporting our ministry through the link in the description. And at the end of this message, we will pray together and ask God for wisdom, discipline, and freedom over every area of our financial lives. The hidden debt trap. Most people never notice. Most people never wake up one morning and decide they want to live under financial pressure. It happens quietly. One payment here, one upgrade there, one convenient swipe that feels harmless in the moment. The modern world presents debt as normal, almost responsible, while money slowly begins managing the person instead of the person managing money. What looks like freedom often arrives wearing polished shoes and carrying a monthly statement. The truth is uncomfortable, but wisdom rarely whispers comfortable things. The modern credit culture does not simply encourage spending, it trains dependence. Buy now, pay later. Sounds gentle, almost generous, but beneath the language sits a deeper exchange. Something invisible is being traded. A portion of tomorrow's labor is quietly sold to satisfy today's appetite. And most people never notice the contract forming around their future. This is why so many hardworking people struggle to make money and still feel trapped. Their problem is not laziness. Often, it is leakage. Income enters their hands but never gains the opportunity to rest, multiply, or build strength. Money becomes a passing visitor instead of a servant assigned to protect their household. Even successful business owners sometimes discover this painful reality when revenue grows but peace does not grow with it. King Solomon understood this long before banks, credit scores, or financial apps existed. Proverbs 22:7 delivers a sentence that still cuts through modern economics like a blade. The borrower is servant to the lender. Notice the language. Solomon does not say borrower is inconvenienced. He says servant. That word carries weight. Service means obligation, limitation, and reduced freedom to move according to wisdom rather than pressure. And here is where the hidden trap becomes personal. Debt rarely begins with greed alone. Sometimes it begins with exhaustion, comparison, loneliness, or the quiet belief that buying something new might calm an unrest that money was never designed to heal. The system understands this psychology better than most people understand themselves. And Solomon's next warning reveals why treating financial obligation casually can become far more dangerous than people imagine. The proverb Solomon gave as a financial emergency warning. When most people think about biblical money wisdom, they imagine generosity, blessings, or prosperity. Few realize that Solomon also spoke with the urgency of a financial surgeon. He did not treat dangerous obligations as small inconveniences to manage casually. He treated them like active fires. And that difference matters. Because what people normalize, they usually stop fighting against. Proverbs 6:1-3 carries a warning that sounds almost shocking when read carefully. My son, if you have put up security for your neighbor, you have been trapped by what you said. So do this to free yourself. Notice those words carefully. Trapped and free yourself. Solomon speaks as though financial obligation can become a form of captivity. This is not poetic exaggeration. It is financial diagnosis. And Solomon's next instruction surprises many readers. He says to act urgently, to humble yourself, to press your plea, and to pursue freedom with intensity. That language sounds less like casual budgeting and more like emergency response. Why? Because Solomon understood something modern culture often hides. Debt grows while people delay. Interest never sleeps. Financial pressure compounds quietly while comfort whispers, deal with it later. The American financial world provides countless examples of this principle. A family may carry a credit card balance thinking it is manageable, only to watch years of minimum payments produce almost no real progress. A small business owner may borrow carelessly during growth season and later discover that cash flow now belongs more to lenders than to vision. The numbers change, but the principle remains painfully familiar. This is where the proverb becomes deeply personal. Solomon is not teaching panic. He is teaching urgency governed by wisdom. The person serious about freedom learns to treat unhealthy debt the way a homeowner treats smoke inside the house, not with denial, not with delay, but with immediate attention and clear action. And once that urgency awakens, another reality begins to surface. Debt was never only touching the wallet in the first place. Why debt attacks more than your wallet? One of the greatest lies surrounding debt is the belief that it is merely a mathematical issue. Numbers matter, yes, but debt rarely stays inside spreadsheets. It crosses borders. It enters conversations, interrupts sleep, and quietly shapes emotional decisions. Many people do not simply owe money. They carry its weight in their thoughts every day. And invisible burdens are often heavier than visible ones. Solomon understood this connection between finances and the interior life. Proverbs 12:25 says, "Anxiety weighs down the heart, but a kind word cheers it up." That verse speaks with surprising precision to financial stress. Anxiety is heavy by nature. Debt places pressure on the heart because obligation creates uncertainty, and uncertainty slowly drains peace. Long before economists studied financial stress, Solomon was already diagnosing its emotional cost. Anyone who has struggled financially knows this feeling. A person may sit at dinner physically present yet mentally calculating bills. A husband and wife may begin discussing ordinary plans only to drift into tense negotiations about payments and survival. Even people who make money consistently can feel trapped when their obligations expand faster than their freedom. Sometimes the paycheck rises while peace quietly disappears. The financial world recognizes this reality more than people realize. Studies in behavioral finance repeatedly show that money decisions are driven less by logic and more by emotion, fear, reward, and stress. That is why some people continue harmful spending patterns despite understanding the numbers perfectly. The issue is not always ignorance. Sometimes the habit itself has become emotional shelter, and that makes the cycle harder to break. This is why stewardship matters so deeply in both money and business. Debt does not only reduce purchasing power, it can weaken confidence, cloud judgment, and make a person feel permanently behind. But once someone understands that the battle is psychological and spiritual as much as financial, everything begins to change. And Solomon points next toward a wisdom principle that protects people before crisis ever arrives. The wisdom of creating margin before the storm appears, the wisdom of the ant, and the power of financial margin. One of the most underestimated financial principles in the Bible is not found in a palace, a treasury, or a royal decree. It appears in something surprisingly small. Proverbs 6:6 says, "Go to the ant, you sluggard. Consider its ways and be wise." Many people read this as a simple lesson about hard work. But Solomon was revealing something much deeper, the wisdom of preparation and financial foresight. The ant operates without pressure from applause or supervision. Scripture says it has no commander, no overseer or ruler, yet it gathers and stores before scarcity arrives. That detail matters. Wisdom does not wait for crisis to become disciplined. It prepares beforehand. The ant understands seasons. Summer is not merely for consumption, it is also for preparation. And the same principle governs money and business today. This is where financial margin enters the conversation. Margin is the protected distance between what comes in and what goes out. It is breathing room. It is reserve. Benjamin Graham called this principle the margin of safety, teaching investors that survival and long-term success depend on leaving space between risk and resources. Solomon taught the same wisdom centuries earlier, though in the language of stewardship rather than Wall Street. Proverbs 21:20 says, "The wise store up choice food and olive oil, but fools gulp theirs down." Notice the contrast. Wisdom stores. Foolishness consumes immediately. The proverb is not condemning enjoyment or blessing. It is warning against reflexive consumption. Many people make money but leave themselves exposed because every increase in income immediately becomes an increase in lifestyle. The gap disappears before it ever becomes protection. A family with emergency savings experiences hardship differently than a family living at full financial capacity. A business with cash reserves survives market pressure differently than one operating on permanent borrowing. Margin is not fear, it is stewardship. It is the quiet strength that protects freedom when life becomes unpredictable. And once a person understands the value of that protective gap, the next question becomes unavoidable. How exactly should they begin attacking debt and rebuilding financial order starting today? How to launch a biblical debt elimination attack. Freedom from debt rarely happens through wishful thinking or vague intentions. It begins with a decision. a line drawn in the mind where a person quietly says, "My financial life will no longer drift." This is where stewardship becomes practical, not emotional hype, not motivational slogans. Real change begins when someone chooses to govern money intentionally instead of reacting to pressure day after day. Solomon gives a strategy hidden inside Proverbs 20:18. Plans are established by counsel, by wise guidance wage war. Notice the language again, wage war. Debt elimination is not passive. A person cannot defeat what they refuse to map. This is why the first step is radical honesty. Write down every obligation, every balance, every payment. Many people fear seeing the full picture, but clarity is often the beginning of freedom. The next move is immediate restraint. Stop new optional borrowing. That step alone changes momentum. Every new debt extends the chain you are trying to break. Pull up bank statements and identify non-essential spending with complete honesty. Subscriptions, impulse purchases, lifestyle inflation, emotional spending, all of it must face the light. This is not punishment, it is stewardship, protecting future peace and restoring financial authority. Now comes the practical attack. Two major methods exist. The debt snowball eliminates the smallest balance first, creating fast wins and psychological momentum. The debt avalanche targets the highest interest first, saving more money mathematically over time. Financial experts debate this endlessly, but Solomon would likely ask a different question. Which method will you actually finish? Because strategy without consistency produces nothing but abandoned plans. Proverbs 13:12 says, "Hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a longing fulfilled is a tree of life." That wisdom explains why many people succeed with early victories. Progress must sometimes be felt before it can be sustained. Every closed account strengthens identity. The person begins seeing themselves differently, not as someone trapped, but as someone capable of rebuilding order. And that shift changes more than debt alone. It begins reshaping how they approach money, business, stewardship, and the future God has entrusted into their hands. Debt does not disappear the moment a balance reaches zero. Real freedom begins when a person decides that wisdom will govern what appetite once controlled. What you learn today is not merely financial advice, it is stewardship. It is the decision to protect your future, honor God with your money, and refuse to let temporary comfort dictate the direction of your life. Ask yourself honestly, if nothing changed, where would your financial life be 5 years from now? Would your money be building peace, opportunity, and blessing? Or would debt still be quietly consuming your margin and your peace of mind? Difficult questions are not meant to condemn us. They are meant to wake us up. The beautiful truth is this: change does not require perfection. It requires decision. Small acts of discipline repeated faithfully can reshape an entire financial future. One payment, one wise choice, one protected margin at a time. That is how freedom grows. That is how strong business stewardship is built. And that is how people learn not only to make money, but to govern it with wisdom. If this message touched your heart today, consider supporting our ministry. Write in the comments, "I will never be a slave to debt again." And watch how this powerful declaration begins to shift the course of your business and your finances from this day forward. And before you leave, ask yourself this: what would your life look like if you finally stopped financing the past and started building the future God entrusted to you?